G'day and welcome back to Wind Against Tide. I am joined in studio tonight with my dear brother Thomas, who I've dragged in here to replace Joey, who is super sick today and couldn't come on the podcast. I told Tom, don't worry, we won't go live. You're safe. And yet here we are, live on the internet. Good thing is I've dragged in another mate, Nigel Ah-Cann, as backup, and they're both looking absolutely terrified. No, they're all right. We're going to have a good time tonight. The banter's already been going off. So hopefully we're going to have a good podcast for you. How are you going, gentlemen? How are you going, Thomas?
Good. Thanks for having me.
You're my older brother?
Correct.
Must be fun for you.
It's been a real treat.
It has been. You sort of taught me to fish a little bit, so it's your fault that I suck.
Yeah, I sort of taught you, and then the last 10 years you've been teaching me.
Yep, but that hasn't gone so well, has it? No, sorry. And Nigel, for your first time on the podcast too. Thank you for coming in. You demanded to come in. Actually, I just wanted some information off you, and you said I'll come in and I'll light the place up. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
We've been fishing, hanging out for a long time as well. It's been near on probably a decade.
It makes me feel really, really old, like extremely old. Yeah, but there's thanks for having me. I mean, there's a lot of things I would do for a beer.
Didn't you just turn 65?
You can't tell. Like I've got the Asian genetics, so
Beautiful. But once you turn 66, it's all over.
no, then I'll have like a wispy beard and everything.
And you'll be Mr. Miyagi. No, but Nigel is a very accomplished sword tamer of the fish variety. Nigel loves his sword fishing. He does a lot of sword fishing. Nigel does a lot of game fishing in general and all the same sort of stuff we do, but he's gotten really good at swordfish in the last few years. I suppose slightly obsessed over it.
Yeah, I think like everyone else, I run the same program as Dave, and yeah, look, we do a lot of trips, and I guess sorting is probably my favorite. So yeah, definitely put in the time. And lately, though, we've just been pulling a lot of hooks as everyone else has. So
yeah, we might look into the world of swordfish in a little bit, but that's not the program I run. I don't go fishing anymore. So
no, we both just suck.
We're on different programs. But yeah, we'll look a little bit more into that later. Back to Thomas. How have you been lately, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad. Haven't done a heap of fishing. I went out with you and Will a couple of weeks ago. I've got another kid on the way, so
congratulations. 3 children. You may as well sell your boat now.
It feels that way. So
no, I thought maybe we could run through our fun little trip we had the other day. Trip report.
It was a real hoot.
Oh, well, it was the first time I'd been barrel fishing this season. I was very excited about it. And we did a triple standing off. We had Will, you and me, and we're in your mighty, mighty vessel. Tell us about your boat, Tom.
Well, it's the self-proclaimed perfect fishing boat. It's a 5.2 meter Webster's Twin Fisher. I bought it off a 900-year-old man from Colac. So it came with heaps of ropes, many holes for attaching cable ties. But no, it's been a good boat. Like he actually really did look after it. It was garaged its whole life. It hasn't been since.
Yeah, it's degraded quite quickly. No, it's your classic old tinkerer boat where it's got little additions that he's worked out over the years everywhere. Holes where he's pop riveted stuff.
Well, at some point he had an anchor winch and decided the anchor winch was too slow, so he installed a 24-volt electric motor thing,
which is awesome.
And then never used it because he didn't know how to use it. So
it had the world's biggest batteries.
It did. I replaced them with lithium, so I've saved about 700 kilos in the front.
And it'll be even lighter when they spontaneously combust.
Perfect.
Lithium batteries are known for that.
I just renewed my insurance, so we're good.
Is that the new iteration of diesel heaters, is it?
Yeah.
Well,
it's actually
got to do what you got to
So you removed a lot of weight by changing them over, but no, it's a great fishing platform, super stable.
It's super stable. It's value for money. Like I think I paid less than $20,000 for that. It's super stable. It's no rocket ship. Like you're not going to get anywhere in a hurry, but
It's almost like a stable craft, you might call it. Much better than the Staby craft, like what you've got, Nigel.
Yeah. So just running at 2400, went back to a
Nobody
high
asked, mate.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about twin fishers here. No, tell us.
Yeah. I mean, it's no perfect fishing boat, but Tom's got me on that one. But yeah, running a 2400 Staby craft with twin 140 Suzuki's. Had a Cuda craft before this, really liked it and really enjoyed the ride. Yeah, it was a really, really good boat, but I really wanted to go back to a hard top and something slightly bigger. We do a lot of long runs, same with Dave as well, either on the barrels or the swords. So it's nice to go back to something a little bit more comfy.
Yeah, I went out in your boat last year and it was absolutely hideous weather and waves were going over the top and stuff, and we were quite dry and comfortable. So, and managed to lose a fish as usual. So it was wonderful.
Yep, back to the program of sucking.
At least on our sad trip home, we were dry and had beats going, so that was good. No, that's a good boat. But moving back to the Twin Fisher, the Twin Fisher actually has a badge on it proclaiming itself to be the perfect fishing boat. So that's confidence, I'd say, Tom.
Well, considering the owner of Twin Fisher sold it to some other company, perhaps not.
Oh, you're really doing wonders for the resale value.
It is what it is.
So anyway, probably not really built for crashing around offshore like we have been in it. But nonetheless, we did on the weekend, and you have several other times. And feel free if you want to talk about other results of bashing around in the ocean in that boat. I'm not going to go there, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Resale. Like you said,
okay.
resale.
We won't talk about that. All right, we won't talk about it. But we went out in Tom's boat the other day, having a look for these big tuna, and covered quite a bit of ground, but it was a bit of an uneventful day. We had a bit of a laugh. It was calm weather and all that, and coming back in, slight disaster struck, didn't it, Tom? This won't affect your resale. You can tell us about this one.
Well, this was one of the rare occasions that I just had this thought. I thought, just in case we have to do a few Ks, I will chuck a jerry can in. And yeah, as we were coming in, it was dark, and I was quite confident we were going to get to the ramp with probably 10, 15 litres left. But what was it about? Boy 14 in Western Port, conked out.
So we'd probably at that stage come in about 40 kilometres from where we started and had about 3 to 4K left to get home. And yeah, she stopped pretty suddenly. And luckily Tom did have the jerry. Very unusual for Tom to be prepared. And we filled her up, but seemed maybe there'd been some gunk in the tank or something, you reckon? Because
well, I've never run it that low. The most I've ever put in, it's about 85 litres. I think it's a 105 litre tank. So no doubt there was a layer of schmutz in the bottom. Schmutz.
Grime.
No, schmutz.
Schmutz, sorry. Yep. And it sort of sucked it up, and then we were stalled our way back to the ramp, basically.
Well, we hope that's what it is.
Cut a long short. Yeah. You've just done the old
like that's best case scenario. Otherwise there's just some catastrophic failure.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this one of your children commenting here? Hey, Dad. Doesn't look like your kid's name.
Not one I know about.
maybe Nigel's.
Oh God, no illegitimates.
So yeah, we made it back to the ramp, and then another bloody issue.
Yeah, motor trim. Weird. It worked on the channel into Stony Point, and then as soon as I handed the steering wheel over to you, it didn't work anymore. So
it's me.
Yeah. Well, it happened with you in command, and as the captain, you must take responsibility.
Actually, I remember a trim issue that you had, Dave.
You weren't there, were you?
No, but you told me about it because you were furiously complaining.
Yeah. That one time off Flinders, my battery slid and the positive made contact with something and blew a fuse or something, or a relay, and I could not trim down. I could only trim up. And whilst trying to work it out, I kept trimming up to the point where I got so high up that I could no longer plane. So I came in I came in 40 to 5, like 50k from Flinders. Every time I tried to plane, the boat would just vibrate itself to death because I had it trimmed up. So that was a really long run in. So yeah, I'm glad we didn't do it whilst out at sea and end up in that predicament because we never would have got in. But fishing, eh? So you've just done the old dump the boat at home and worry about it later trick.
Oh, I've got it attached to some sort of winch contraption with some Telstra rope. And
Yeah, we were just lucky that the motor cleared the ramp when we pulled it out of the water enough to get it back to my house to jack the motor up and get the chock in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been actually stuck. Because there's that old pressure release valve on there. You know that old trick, Nigel?
Yep, I know. I've had to use it before. I had trim issues on my old the 450 on the Coodercraft actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, good trick is that if when you drive up on the ramp, you have a piece of wood on it and you release the valve, and then that way it'll come up.
I just deadlifted it straight up.
Yeah, but your motor was also probably what, like a 60?
100.
100?
How dare you talk down to him? Sorry, we don't have Niz Pro tuned engines.
To be honest, I did wake up a bit sore after trying to do that.
No, while we are talking about boats, you've had a few boats, Nigel.
Yeah,
First, when I first started fishing with you, you had a little baby bar crusher,
that's right.
and then you had a medium-sized bar crusher.
Yep.
That was probably your most successful boat.
Yeah, and I did a lot of stupid things in it as well.
Yeah, you did. You went miles out to sea and slept in it like a loser.
Yeah.
And then you got your Coodercraft. So it was a bit of a special boat though, wasn't it? It had like a tuned engine, as I was just alluding to.
Yeah, I had a Niz Pro, so obviously a supercharged version of the Yamaha 300. And it was a really, really good engine in terms of speed, but fuel economy wasn't there, and it ran on 98. So every time I filled it up, yeah, it's the bank account copped an absolute hammering, that's for sure. And 500-liter tank is yeah.
So they're a renowned high performance boat, the Coodercraft. So how quick did it go with that engine?
Did 108 k an hour.
108.
Yeah, yeah. It was very, very sketchy though. Very, very
slightly
sketchy.
quicker than the Twin Fisher.
About 2.5 times.
No, but interesting is we mature into beautiful adults like you are. We decide to go away from the racing boats and we go back to comfort, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than actually getting back in off a day on the water and you're actually dry.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wear the old, moleskins or wet weather gear anymore. Except you do get a little bit wet sometimes in rough weather when you're putting the spread out. But apart from that,
that's for the deckies.
Yeah, that just means you just go hide back in the cab.
As you're standing in the cabin sipping on your hot chocolate and you're going, put that one there, sir.
Yes.
Should
we get the jet boil out?
Yes. We know all the tricks. Yeah, so you've moved into the old floating armchair now, which is you're continuing into your adulthood, your middle-agedness nicely.
Yes, I am getting very old.
But yeah, no, both good boats. But yeah, funny how we sort of progress in our fishing. Now, one of the things I was going to talk about with you, Thomas, is you briefly lived in Queensland.
I did.
And we used to have quite a lot of banter back and forth because I'd be like, oh, fishing's not even better up there. You just catch a bunch of wrasse and then you put them on a big blue tarp and take a photo. And we're down here catching giant trophy swordfish and tuna and all sorts of things. So I want to know, having lived in both, what your actual honest opinion, where would you prefer to fish?
If it was purely about bragging rights, Victoria, you've got better options or more accessible options. Obviously, up north, you've got giant marlin, but that was never something I had the opportunity to target. Like you said, it was just little delicious wrasse. Down here, I've had the opportunity to catch big tuna. I've tried to catch kingfish. There's lots of great sport fish and trophy fish down here. But yeah, up north, as far as if you just want to go out, get a feed, have a bit of fun, there's endless options. The weather's good all year round. So if I had to pick one place to fish the rest of my life, I would probably go back up there.
Yeah. It's like the medium to light tackle sport fishing up there absolutely kills what we have down here,
Oh,
really, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah.
Like yes,
So as long as you're geared right and you're not just skull dragging them in, although from what I can hear, like the shark problem's so out of control, you pretty much do need heavy tackle just to beat the sharks at the moment.
well, that was the other thing. Is that just ruining it for everyone else?
Look, it wasn't. I didn't find it an issue when I was there, but
It's because you ate them all.
all. I did get a few funny looks when I kept one.
Dumb Victorian eating the sharks. All under 1.5 meters.
Yeah,
That's the rule, isn't
definitely. Yep. Once I cut its head off, it was.
Turns out bull sharks do have a lot of testosterone. Yeah, so they're pretty out of control up there.
That's what it looks like, but I didn't really find that an issue. But
I went fishing with you there once and I caught a stupid shark. I remember.
you
Really
did
snapped my back in
too.
half.
That put up a bit of a it gave you a hard time.
Just wanted to live under the boat the whole
Didn't
time.
it?
It was horrible.
And it was on mono too. It just would not bite you off.
So, what part of Queensland did you live in before? By the way, probably should have said that.
So I had a short stint in Bundaberg and then down on the Sunshine Coast.
So, what you were sort of saying is, when you were up there to me, like you think of Queensland, it's all tropical fish everywhere sort of thing, but especially with Bundaberg, it was like
It's not.
you've
like
got to
that
be
at
in the
all.
know.
Yeah, 100%. Straight out from Bundaberg is just a desolate wasteland. There's a couple of isolated spots, but no one's going to tell you where they are. And all the ones that are well known are hammered to death. If you actually want to catch fish, you got to go out to the island. So you're doing 70, 80, 90K out. Most people try and tee it up so they can do an overnighter because it's just not worth it otherwise. And it's literally just a fill the esky mission.
Yep.
With the fuel burn and actually getting that good weather. It's just a case of if you're not feeling the esky, don't bother.
You can go to the most fish-rich places in the world, though, I reckon, and it looks good. It looks good on social media and that, but unless you've worked out when they're going to bite and the right locations and techniques, then you can miss out anywhere really. But yeah. So the main difference, I reckon, is yes, we have big fish here, which is probably more of a recent thing. Well, not so recent anymore. We've sort of had big fish for a while now, but we've had the swordfish fishery come along. We get good marlin runs sometimes. Tuna, we were just saying before, is like an all-year thing now. But you definitely go more time between success here. There's a lot of missing, would you say, Nigel?
Yes, a lot of sucking, as we would say. But
So, yeah, there's a lot of missing in between the success, whereas I think up there in Queensland, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, once you sort of...
Oh, look, I'm no expert, but I just found that if I wanted a feed, I could always get a feed. I could go and target something specific. If it didn't work out, you just stop at a couple of places along the way back and you get, a
Fish
few
and
meals
chips
worth
or-
of fish.
Yep. And even the fish that people up there say are crap taste good. I
Pardon?
found. The fish that people get up there,
Mm-hmm.
that they think they go, oh, they're crap, don't eat them.
Oh,
For
yeah.
us
Oh,
poor
definitely.
Southerners, they're
Yeah.
actually delicious.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially more of the stuff you'd eat is sashimi or something. They'll just bin it, or it's not even crab bait to them. But
got any examples, Tom?
Mac tuna.
mac tuna, queenfish,
Mac tuna are actually nice.
yeah.
I ate one. We were stranded, starving on an island at the Whitsundays once, and these tuna had been taunting us for like 2 weeks straight, and someone finally caught one, and it was the best tuna we'd ever eaten. And we all rated it above anything else, and then we realised it was just because we were super hungry. But it was actually not that bad. But yeah, up there people wouldn't even bother with it, just straight in the old crab traps.
Mind you, down here, I reckon Australian salmon, silver trevally, they are
Blue throat?
I don't know about blue throat.
Mm.
But as far as sashimi, I had trevally, I don't know, a couple of months ago when I was whiting fishing. It was great.
Jonah Yick on the chat. Hello, Jonah, me old mate. He's saying golden trevally is also classed as rubbish but delicious. And I'll take that man's word for it because he's not afraid to eat various fish. And if he's saying it's good, it's probably pretty good.
And they're bloody good sports fish.
Yeah, 100%. You done much interstate fishing, Nigel?
Yeah, I mean, I've lived obviously overseas for a substantial amount of time, and I've done a little bit in Queensland, a little bit in New South Wales, a bit in South Australia actually, because we go diving there quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
And
and
yeah,
sharks.
hopefully not.
Uh.
I mean, you always see sharks, but it's definitely the don't really want to see the giant great whites. So none of them so far.
Not yet.
And
Not that you've seen.
no, probably
Yeah, it's
one
the one.
sneaking
But
up
then they say
behind me.
it's the one you don't see is the one that gets you.
Yeah, I'll be dead, so I don't care.
When I feel something's watching me, that's him.
Mm. So, yep, you've done some interstate stuff.
Yeah.
What's your favorite location you fished so far?
For a variety of game fish, probably Victoria, because we've got a world class swordfish fishery. Yeah, I know it's a big call, but yeah, it's nothing like home as well. When being able to just roll back home, sleep in your own bed. Oh, I mean, for the swordfish fishery, it's a little bit different, but especially on the barrels, you can do a day trip here and have a chance at catching a fish over 100 kilo. So
We've got Mad Fisho on the live chat. He's saying, is it worth towing some lures this weekend off Western Port? Any big tuna around? There has been. I think it's safe to say that. There has been for a little while now. I wouldn't say they're on fire. From what I'm gathering, and I don't know what you guys are hearing, is they're sort of coming through, traveling a little bit somewhat. I'm hearing a lot of them being a bit deeper and they're on smaller bait, and hence probably why they're not staying in one location for a long time.
yeah, I think so. And as we move into the probably colder months, that they should probably start to stack up. But I know the full moon is tomorrow Saturday, so the lead up's generally pretty good, but I haven't heard much. And then probably the day of is not so great, but the 3 days after should start to pick back up. So
yep, good tips there. So it should be a pretty good week. I think the weather's all right from today onwards.
Yeah, I think
Saturday
and Sunday are fishable. So
yeah, so I'll tell you what is there's heaps of out there, and not allowed to keep these things, but the whales. There is an insane amount of whales migrating through. They're going through the bays. They're going offshore. I remember Tom, when we were young kids and we were down at Phillip Island quite a lot. Like, it was rare to hear or see whales there back then.
Like every couple of years,
Yeah,
you'd get one, and it was like we'd chase it with the car because it was just insane.
yeah, 100%. But now it's like today there was like 9 of them going off like inside the bay, and reports going off everywhere. Controversially at the moment, I mean, we all know that whales eat the same bait as the tuna, and hence boats are probably interacting with them. There's been quite a lot of it's been well publicized through the whale watching fraternity that fishing boats, they're reporting them as allegedly doing the wrong thing. So you've got to be more than 200 meters away from whales, and they're saying the boats are sort of chasing, whether they're chasing the whales themselves or inadvertently chasing the bait that the whales are on. Apparently the police have been out in force and actually
Arresting the whales.
they've been moving the whales on from our fishing spots. Get out of here, whale. No, they've been moving boats on, and the actual fine for being too close or harassing a whale is actually gigantic. So if it gets to a point where they start fining people, and yeah, that could severely impact some. But what do you guys think? Should we be like, because you go out there and the whale watching boats, they're sitting right on top of them. They've got some dispensation thing.
yeah, they've got a special license that allows them to be super close. But I think the rules sometimes it's a little bit of a gray area, especially because sometimes you won't notice that a whale's actually on a bait ball, and then you'll troll straight over it, and then there's not a lot you can do. But according to the rules and regulations, you're actually not allowed to be that close to a dolphin as well.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be within, I think it's 100 meters or something. It's something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then, we all know dolphins will swim straight up to the boat. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think every other boat should get fined as well. So,
Yeah.
especially, police boats, the dolphins will swim straight up to them. So.
That's right. Let's go out there and arrest the police this weekend.
As soon as I see a dolphin, I shut my motor off and I just wait.
I'm going to tail the police around this weekend. If they go near a dolphin, all citizens arrest them. But no, it's a bit unfair. No, we got to do the right thing, don't we? Like, we can't intentionally go near whales. That's fair enough, because unfortunately there's people that probably are a bit reckless and maybe ruin it a little bit for everyone else. But Like, I feel like, what if I just put an exclusion zone around me and the whales have to stay out of that? Then it's their fault if they get too close. Like, who makes these rules?
Reminds me of that Simpsons meme where they're like arms spinning towards each other, being like, if you get hit, it's your fault.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, I personally think that if we educate people how to interact with them safely, is a lot better than just trying to find people.
Yeah.
Like, why is it okay for a whale watching boat to go right up to a whale and charge each person $200 for the privilege of being on their boat to watch a whale? They don't care. They're just making money off the whale.
They're as bad as whalers, if you put it that way. Exploiting the creatures.
Yeah,
they keep
pimping
them
whales out
alive.
of there.
They keep them alive for even longer than they're meant to. We haven't made our money off you yet.
Yes. Why kill them when you can?
Wait, this one's sick. Just prop him up.
Yeah, and maybe going back to your original point, Dave, that there is a lot more whales.
How
around.
dare you straighten us up?
I know. I was just trying to get back on topic about pimping whales out.
No, there's yeah, there is heaps of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like back in the day, you'd probably maybe see like one every couple of trips, and now that if you don't see one, it's almost like an oddity.
And I guess that makes it time for our annual safety message. Don't run over whales. Because we had Mark Sullivan on the pod last year who had severely injured himself running into a whale coming in off the Gold Coast. Gold Coast. And sunk his boat in the end and damaged his face and everything. So
That was horrific.
Yeah.
Like, that was full on, that story.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, that if you want to have a listen to that, go look at our past podcast. It's a really, really good one and some great messages in there. But we here in Victoria right now need to be super careful of the same thing because there's a lot of people running around at night, and it wouldn't take much to go careering into one of those things, and that's no good for the whale or us, is it, Nigel?
No, definitely not.
I say that like you've been hitting whales.
Definitely had a few close calls, and generally it's the ones that you don't see and the ones that breach straight in front of you. You know, like you can keep your eye on some of the ones that are around bait balls, but it's generally the ones that breach that straight in front of you. Definitely off Lake Entrance, we've had a few, I wouldn't say close calls, but definitely, within 100 meters or so.
Sorry, I was mid-sip when you stopped talking.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. They're underwater. They're not making noise. They're not in your face. So unless you're really on it, you don't know they're there.
Yeah. No, we've all had some close calls. So.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely. And I think, sorry to interrupt you, Dave.
That's all right, all out.
Yeah, I remember a story a few years ago. I think it was a marine rescue or a coast guard or something. They had a noosa cat and they had the whole sponson ripped off because they accidentally hit a whale. And it shows you that it can happen to anybody. So I think all these whale watching people, they don't really understand that it's not necessarily the ones that you see, it's the ones that you don't see.
There was multiple deaths last year up and down the coast. So, but yeah, anyone who's out on the water this weekend, we're calling this campaign "Be Whale Wise." Be whale wise. Don't go too close. Police are going to be out there, I'm sure. So make sure you're doing the right thing. And good luck, everyone. Speaking of tuna reports, Nigel, some good friends of yours recently. So I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we were groundbreaking on this podcast. We were talking to some guys that recaptured a fish that was, I believe, around about 30 years old upon being recaptured, and that was caught out of our local waters as well. And that had a special fisheries tag in it, that an orange tag, and they'd injected some dye into the fish so that they could measure all sorts of sciencey stuff. More info on that, go back and listen to that podcast. It's been a while and I've forgotten most of it. But anyway, what I'm getting at is very recently we had a almost more impressive recapture, and it was actually some friends of yours, wasn't it, Nigel?
Yeah, look, about maybe 10 days ago or something, maybe not last weekend, the weekend before, 2 of my mates, Alec and Mason Weiser, however you want to say their last name, look, they caught a barrel and
here it is.
Yeah, had a substantial amount of growth on the back of near that's, I can't remember what fin it's called, but look,
dorsal.
Look, it had a yellow tag on it, and they pulled the sleeve off of it, had some numbers on it, and I wanted to see the boys anyway because it's been a while since I've caught up with them, so I went down there. Mind you, I was running a little bit late for dinner, and had to postpone that with the missus for about an hour while I went and dealt with that. So was in the bad books for that one. But yeah, look, just got the information. Talked to Jonah, who's probably in the chat. So
Yo, Jonah.
yeah,
Anytime there's any sort of recapturing of tuna, he seems to be the sounding board for the
Yeah.
scientific community, which actually he's doing a great job. He's linking the two communities together. So.
yeah, absolutely. And I think Jonah's doing a really good job in, like you say, connecting the dots, but also providing the input on what to do. Because especially even measuring the fish, you got to measure them in a straight line. So people obviously lay the tape measure over the top of them to get the short length.
Yeah, because he makes them slightly bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
To exaggerate.
Us men are really good at exaggerating.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, even stuff like that and making sure you get the right measurements, who to talk to. And long story short, Jonah put us in touch with a girl called Naomi.
Naomi, yep.
Yep. And look, to cut a long story short, that the fish was tagged 29 years ago, which is actually older than the angler, Alec. And Naomi happened to be on the boat at the time when the fish was originally tagged 29 years ago.
That's crazy. And where was it tagged?
It was tagged in the Great Australian Bight, and they estimated it at 3 or 4 years old. So the total fish age was probably 33 or 34 years old, which makes it the oldest fish ever with the tag being recovered.
So that beats our other one that was at 30 years. That's absolutely crazy. And it makes you, I think it really gives you more respect for these fish that they've sort of been cruising around our oceans for that long.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of information, interesting information that we received is that those fish were actually double tagged. So they had 2 tags in them and one's actually fallen out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And the difference between the yellow tag and the orange tag is that the orange tag were the fish injected with the hydrogen chloride.
Peroxide.
Yeah. So basically,
Getting bleached hair.
Yeah. So
like Tom used to have. I have to find that photo.
We all did.
Tom had an M&M phase, guys.
Oh, I thought he had frosted tips.
And
Who didn't?
Yeah, he did that too.
Whoa.
Tom went through all the phases. He had mohawks. I'm gonna have to find these photos. Sucked in.
Yeah. So this one wasn't injected with that dye that tells us basically when it was tagged exactly. Because I was talking to Naomi, and she basically said that they still don't know the exact methodology behind it, and it's good to confirm what they're actually doing is correct.
Yes.
Because an otolith is quite small, is very, very little. And
otolith being ear bone?
Yeah, ear bone. Yep. And so when they cut them out of a tuna, they're probably less than the size of your pinky nail. And basically they've got to cut them in half and then run them under an electron microscope. And they count the rings kind of like a tree trunk, but they're very, very close together.
Yep.
So it actually takes a substantial amount of time and effort to count them manually.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's how they age them.
So why, first of all, why do you think that we keep having these recaptures? Because that's not, these two that we've just mentioned aren't the only ones locally here off Western Port and Port Phillip. Is there something to that, or is it just luck, you reckon?
I think it's a bit of both, but also the fishery getting substantially better over the last couple of years, especially because we've noticed quite a bit of substantial growth in terms of the actual fish in terms of size.
Yep.
There's a lot more fish over that 80 kilo range, as you would say.
Yep.
You know, into that barrel class of fish. And I think that they did a lot of the tagging science behind it right as, you know, we're progressing to the age where the fish are probably going to be at that size. And so when I was talking to Naomi, she was basically talking about how the currents are pushing back into Bass Strait, and that this time of year is probably one of the best for recaptures.
Yep. So their range is... Sorry, Tom.
Sorry, would this tagging coincide with sort of that decline of the species just before it sort of started to make its... They're tagging them 30 years ago.
Yeah, so that... Yes, that had us probably right in the period where they were... There certainly weren't any big fish around at that point, was there? Or many?
Yeah, I think the whole biomass was quite small.
Be, early 90s.
So around about, quick backstory on the tuna is they were actually put under extreme pressure because they were caught pole fishing. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, pole fishing and purse signing.
And then purse signing, off South Australia. That was probably the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, something along those lines. Definitely, you know, predating our generation.
So it's not our fault. So we, but back then there was no commercial value to them. They weren't getting exported to Japan or anything like that. They were getting taken to canneries and being used for just canned tuna and even pet food. I'm pretty sure. So they weren't really making much money out of it, and it was still destroying an entire fishery. So they were kind of put to the brink at that point. And then I think basically there was no value left in the industry. So a lot of those purse seiners and the polling boats stopped, and then slowly from that point on, we sort of had a bit more of a recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Jonah's touched on this before, is that when you pair sign a fish, it takes the entire school of fish, so there's no genetic diversity.
Yep.
So
yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So to break that down, like that part of the gene pool is then gone.
Well, I don't know specifically, but if you
Mm.
keep taking all of one school, and I assume that they try to stay together, is that you only have a limited amount of biomass left, say 5%, and then when they breed, they're all genetically pretty similar. So it's basically, I guess, the
Fishing and breeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a video about this, Tom?
Let's go with that and move on. So if you were to recapture one of these fish, what is the process? Because I think you were about to touch on that. Because with the one from a few years ago, the guys actually didn't realize that it was that they needed to keep their head for Naomi to dissect and all that, and it got thrown in the bin. And so I went dumpster diving the next day to retrieve the head. So what if you catch one of these fish? What's the process?
Yeah, look, and I remember when you did that, because you called me and said,
Mm.
because I'd caught 2 barrels of that same day as well, and you asked me,
Oh, yeah,
which
I found their heads.
yeah, absolutely. I think you just basically need to get in contact with your relevant
Police.
governing body of
Call 000.
Yeah, fisheries. To me personally, Jonah was the only person I know from Tas Fisheries, and it had a CSIRO and it said Hobart on it. So
Yep.
naturally, that's kind of where I gravitated to. But I think a simple Google search would suffice, especially if it's an international tag or something from a different governing body. So, and if you're in doubt, I would just get in touch with Jonah.
Yeah, message Jonah.
Yeah, because he seems to be the magnet for anything fisheries.
He is. Because we had that. Lockie O'Reilly even got another one of those tag fish, and I think even he just threw the frame into the water and had to go and rescue it again. So if you do catch one of those fish, it's very valuable data, and follow those steps.
Yeah, make sure you keep the entire head, because I know they are pretty precise in taking the olus out. Make sure you take a short length measurement, so from the bottom jaw all the way to the middle of the tail in as straight a line as possible without bending the tape measure. And I think it would probably be good to try to take a girth measurement as well. And you could probably keep the tail as a bit of a memento, but you can definitely tell the size of a fish based on its tail. That's generally how I do them, because barrels can, I guess, differ in size and weight significantly, but generally the size of the tail to me really indicates how long the fish is and how big it is. So that's generally a good indicator, and it's also a good memento.
Yeah, like it's unreal the length of the fish, how much they can differ in weight depending on condition. And girth.
Yeah, I've had fish that differ 150 mil, 200 mil for the same size, so same weight. So in terms of short length, they'll differ, say 150 mil, but it'll be the same weight of the fish.
So you've got this fish head, do you?
Al has it at the minute. So we're going to dissect it. So
we might film that.
Yeah. Yep.
Again.
I
think we filmed the other one. That'd be pretty interesting anyway.
Yeah.
So that's that is probably the record for the longest. The fish longest at liberty.
Yeah, from what I understand, and I'm happy to be corrected, but yeah, it's the oldest fish for a recaptured tag. Probably not the longest at liberty, but definitely the oldest fish actually.
And how does that make you feel for when you go big tuna fishing again? Does it maybe make you reconsider the amount that, not targeting you particularly, that are getting kept at the moment?
Yeah, look, I think there's nothing wrong with keeping a feed as long as you know you've got a use for it. But yeah, I guess I'm not going to crap on about tagging and releasing them. I've definitely been known to murder a few, but I think if you're going to kill them, make sure you look after them. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's probably the main movement that we've got going in the last few years is ice them, bleed them, run the cord through the spine and all that sort of stuff. If you know how to do that, and get the most out of the fish that you keep. Respect the animal, I would say, to put that into a few words. So, no, well, more to come on that one, Nigel.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully Naomi or Delegate can get down here within the next week or so, because I'd be pretty interested to learn how to take the olus out just for my own reference. So I'm not sure where I'm going to get an electron microscope though from.
Just have a crack yourself. Just go at it with a saber saw.
Yeah, they actually asked me if they can procure mine, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to clean all the tuna guts out of it.
That'll be interesting. Now we briefly touched on it before. You're quite the swordsman. How's your sword season been going? You been getting into it?
It's been pretty average. I'm not gonna lie. As in, we've got out twice, and we've had a substantial amount of bites, but like every other bow, we've been really struggling to keep the hooks in them. So yeah, I think the last 3 trips, my numbers are, and this includes a trip from last year, we've got 12 bites, 9 hookups, and we've landed 1 fish. So
there's a lot of fish around.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had a decent amount of weather this year compared to last, and we've had a few weather windows, and guys getting a little bit more clued in with what the techniques are, and it's not just randomly running around dropping bricks. So they're getting a little bit more clued into techniques and actually probably being a little bit more efficient. And yeah, I think we're really reaping the rewards, and the current's been there this year as well. And there's been a real lack of toadfish, which has been nice.
Because as Joe always makes sure we mention, the GTs, they cause havoc biting people's line.
Yeah, absolutely. When you lose, $400 in your braid, your rig, your lights, your hooks, everything, it makes you really demotivated to go. And especially because some of these guys, especially myself, because we're really poor, that we're only having limited outfits. So, if you only bring 2 outfits and you get done twice, then you basically got to pack up and go home.
I had that. Remember how we used to get harassed by dolphins?
Oh, yeah.
This is back before whales were harassing everyone. Dolphins harassed us, and actually were attacking our lights and destroying our setups. And I remember going out once, and I had 2 setups, and in we'd gone away for the weekend, and in consecutive drops, both my setups were ruined. And we're like, guess we're going home.
Yeah, and I think it really shows the importance of being prepared as well. Is that you might only have 2 outfits, but if you got some spare line or try to cobble something together, then it might save you a trip.
Yep.
Especially because you're probably spending close to $1,000 on a trip by the time the diesel for the car to get down there, the fuel for the boat, food, accommodation, it really adds up. So you really want to make the most of it.
And how long do you think this season's going to run for?
Look, I reckon it's probably got another month in it. And it's generally not dictated by the fish. It's usually dictated by the weather. As we move into autumn, the weather
breaks up.
It starts to become a little bit more inconsistent and less stable. So,
which it kind of already has, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably in the last 3 weeks, we've maybe had 1 weather window. So,
all right, I'm declaring it finished.
Maybe
don't bother anyone.
One more trip.
Sword season closed. Barrel season open.
Even that.
No, I look forward to seeing. Well, actually, I'd actually like to get out there, but it's not really looking very likely. But I'll live vicariously through you, Nigel. Hopefully, you can. So you haven't landed one this year?
No, we pulled a lot of hooks though. So
good.
Generally just right below the boat as they normally do. They come up for their first jump, and then the hooks just fall out of them. So I'm not sure what they're doing down there, having smoko, doing something, hanging out on the Webster Twin Fisher. So
they're waiting for the mighty Webster to come out and just destroy them.
I'd have to leave the day before.
You actually would. It'd be a long cruise out there. We definitely need an extra Jerry.
It'd be like a 6-hour run
out. Look forward to seeing how you go there, Nigel. Let's hook into the hookup, which is our fishing report segment. Hey! Welcome to the hookup, where we go around Australia and indeed the world for the freshest fishing reports. What do you think of that, Tom? It's pretty slick.
Sharp.
Little intro.
And
it took me 300 takes.
No.
We're going to have a look around the world, as that intro says. Nah, just around Australia. Local big tuna, we've discussed that quite a lot already. Coming through, getting more consistent. It's going to be another good year there. Very exciting to have a great fishery on our doorstep. So not much really needs to be more needs to really be said about that one. But looking forward to getting amongst that one. One other, because not many people have really been fishing, have they, Nigel? It's been sort of quite average weather for a little bit.
Yeah, it's been. It's also motivation levels. People really just don't want to go out in the cold, and a lot of people store their boats away during winter. So
Gosh, it's cold at the moment.
definitely. So.
But one report that I saw that was pretty cool was the guys from Fishing Online, Andrew Page and his friend Porter, went out off Apollo Bay and they got stuck into these beautiful striped trumpeter, which we've seen them sort of filter through from Portland and down the southwest, and these guys have sort of been doing the yards down at Apollo Bay, and they've found some new fishing grounds, and they're getting stuck into these quite big trumpeter. Oh, there you go. Quite big trumpeter, and sort of opening up a little bit more of a fishery there. A long way to where those fish are, but what do you think of the striped trumpeter fishery, Nigel? You've done a little bit of it off Lakes Entrance, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, Lakes Entrance and further east towards Malakuta. I think it's definitely an untapped fishery that if you're willing to put the time into it, there's definitely fish to be had. But kind of struggle a little bit because they seem to be in that 150 meter to 250 meter range, which means that
it's hard to stop.
Yeah, it's hard to stop. So whenever we're out there, we definitely want to keep going. So
I'm tipping Andrew, being a keen swords fisherman's probably been doing some prospecting out of Apollo Bay there as well. So
yeah, absolutely, I'm sure he has. He's a great guy, and he loves his sword fishing. So
it's incredible ground out that way, actually.
Yeah, yep. It's really good, especially towards Peterborough, and I'm sure that all the bottom fish would be there. And if there's swords, in Lakes Entrance, there's been swords in South Australia, especially at Port Mac and also at Port Lincoln. There was one, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that was caught out of a trailer boat. So that's really good
we
for their
reported that on
fishery.
the podcast.
Yeah,
it's probably where you heard it. Groundbreakers. So you think some boats need to go and put some effort in out there? Weather's probably the problem out there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's even worse than lakes
and the swell as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm giving that one King Kong Donkey Kong catch of the week.
King Kong Donkey Kong match. Look.
Well done to Andrew and Porter. Fantastic fishing. They look delicious. Western Port whiting, I've seen a few reports. They're actually still going quite well for those putting the time in, especially sort of down the southern parts of the bay. Guys fishing in the clean water, picking up some bigger specimens, so probably slower bites, but good sized fish down that end of the world. So plenty of whiting for those that still want to put the effort in and take home a feed. For people that don't like getting bashed around offshore all the time, there's a bit still happening in the bays, because we've got some on and off, it has to be said, hot and cold squid fishing going on as well. You been out on the squid, Nige?
Nah, I haven't really, to be honest. My boat's been locked away. We're doing a little bit of concreting at mine, so the boat's been tucked away for 2 or 3 weeks now, where the formwork's been there because we haven't had a chance to pour because of the weather.
So you locked your boat away?
Yeah, like an idiot.
Yeah, probably subconsciously stopping yourself from going fishing.
Yeah, spending money on fuel.
You went squidding the other week, Tom.
I did.
How'd you go?
Yeah, good. We had a really good session. We were trying to find some whiting. That didn't work out. So just decided to start casting squid jigs where we were fishing for whiting. And yeah, I think we ended up with about 12 in pretty short succession. So
unlocked a new zone for yourselves.
I did. I've got a secret spot.
I'll get it out here eventually. So we had Peter Ferguson. He came on the show last week and gave me this sick hat that I'm wearing right now. And that's excuse me, it is a sick hat. He went out yesterday, found it a little bit slow going, but he got 8 squid on his own off Hastings. But I know in other sessions he's sort of done a bit better than that. So I think it's on and off depending on the moon conditions, water clarity, and all that sort of stuff. So there is things to be caught inside the estuaries still. We actually had a bit of a funny one. You put me onto this, Nigel, and I wish I'd saved the report, but I don't have it. You did send me the photo, and I'm unprepared. I forgot to save it. But one of the commercial boats fishing out of Bass Strait had some really nice snapper aboard, a boat that operates out of San Remo in Western Port. So there's some offshore snapper going on to be caught.
Yeah, look, from what I
It's
understand.
a very vague report.
Yeah, exactly, exactly right. Yeah, I think it wouldn't be a bad time to target some of those offshore reefs and uh, the fish that they caught. I'm not sure if Dave has the photo, but yeah, they looked genuinely like decent fish, like actually genuine between 5 and 7. So
Mm.
yeah, it's not bad.
Bass Strait Direct is the page it was. We saw it on. So
Yeah,
they're big snapper.
yeah, they're not bad ones at all.
So we think we're being fish detectives. They were offshore, which is something that's always sort of interested me. Is if there is much of a offshore snapper fishery in winter off Western Port. So I reckon that's another one. If you put some time and effort in, that you'd probably crack a bit of a code.
Yeah, and I think generally right before snapper season, that guys at the front of the rip and off Barwon do generally okay on those offshore reefs before the fish obviously migrate into Port Phillip before they spawn. So there's no reason that they wouldn't be offshore at this time of year either.
And we've got Joey on the chat. Joseph Fernand at home, sick, but he's watching from his couch. And every year he tells me to talk about the fact that his friend Sean once caught some snapper off Punch Bowl in autumn, I think it was. Oh, no, spring maybe, before they came in the bay. So it's certainly something. It's a prospect. It's a tasty prospect. Some offshore snapper fishing. Maybe something we need to invest more time in. Maybe when we suck at tuna and stuff offshore, we should stop on the way in and have a jig or something like that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind putting a little bit more time into offshore gummies, especially when the tuna are slow and yeah, look, you're waiting around for a tide change, like that dead period in the middle of the day, say between midday and 3 o'clock. That wouldn't mind putting 2 or 3 hours into gummy fishing and snapper fishing. So
We could have done the whole day the other.
We could have.
week
We could have. But
in that dead period.
that was all dead. Joe's saying August, so write that down, everyone.
We could have bagged out in snapper and gummies.
We all know we would have still caught nothing. We would have still caught no tuna and we would have been even more demoralized. That's actually one of my theories is if you're going to suck big.
Just stick to one thing.
Why do I feel like we're going to take that out of context and make a little clip out of that one? But I think we all know what I'm saying there. If you're going to if you're going to not catch anything, you may as well not catch a trophy fish rather than it's more demoralizing when you can't catch the small fish that you're supposed to be able to catch. Grow up. Eildon cod. I've seen some lovely photos coming out of there. Some big cod, mostly at nighttime. Guys live scoping. I think Paul Worsling's actually there at the moment from iFish TV, getting into some big meter plus cod. Something that I'd love to do a little bit of that. I don't have the fancy pants live scope thing though, so I don't know if there's any point. We had a bit of a crack, didn't we, Tom?
Yeah.
Let's dissect our efforts, actually. You're a big fan of the rock wall at Eildon.
I'm happy just to put my electric motor on and tow big swim baits and stuff along the rock wall. And if something happens, it happens.
And boy, did we catch some big cod doing that.
I did get one. It wasn't massive. But...
Didn't we get them the next trip and they were like tiny? Yeah.
Yeah. The next trip
at your Bucks
smaller.
party. Yeah. We caught like 3 or 4.
The
Some of
first
them
one,
we didn't know were on the
I got
lure.
one about 50 or 60 the first time. But I think you guys had much bigger buffs casting ridiculous birds and small mammals and stuff and rodents.
Yeah.
actually, speaking of rodents and birds and stuff, weren't you trying to get a tuna on like a duck or something?
I've got a duck. I've been trying to get one on, and I've got a rat. This is when like the summer bluefin were going, and I found the issue with the rat was it looked a bit too much like all the mutton birds that were like diving around. So, I had really bad castability. I'm not saying I've given up.
Maybe we should paint it
to resemble what?
Not
a flying fish.
Yeah, something like
Nah,
that.
just paint it fluoro green because apparently if you tow around
That's
a
their natural
fluoro
food source. Yeah, we all know. We all know they're out there eating fluoro fish. So yeah, maybe we'll give that a crack. I haven't given up on it, but yeah, it's a bit demoralizing when you're standing there flinging your rat out into the tuna and the birds, and you're not quite getting there, and your mate's just hooking up next to you. It takes a lot of discipline to continue. But yeah, no, the little yellow duck, that's been trolled around a fair bit too. I'm pretty confident that one's going to work because it actually holds in at about 7 knots trolling the yellow duck. So definitely going to continue to give that one a run. Yeah. Yeah. Some freshwater lures going into the saltwater. Yeah. I'll give that a bit. I don't think I'll do that on the big tuna though. We'll wait for summer for that one. But yeah, that's the fishing reports, boys. Unless you guys have anything to add. It's a bit slow at the moment. No, nothing?
No.
I know nothing.
No.
Yeah. Now, our next segment we normally do, and I've written it, I don't have anything here for this one, but apparently you were a bit annoyed, Tom. The old grinds my gears. Have you got anything for that one?
Oh,
Do I play the sound effect? I'm playing it.
yeah. play it.
King Kong, Donkey Kong, man.
That's the wrong
Look
one.
at
Well, I need Joe.
It's the
We now go
biggest
to
grind
Peter
my
Griffin
gears.
for You Know What Really Grinds My Gears.
Thanks, Tom. You know what really grinds my gears?
Grinds
Alright.
Hey,
Right.
it's Tom. And he said Tom in the intro. What grinds your gears, Tom?
Everyone can relate. If you drive a car, it's red lights. On the way down here tonight, there's no traffic. It's late at night, and every friggin' red light. Didn't matter if I went fast between them, slow between them. I just got every single red light. There'd be one car on the opposing side of the intersection, and it would set the light off. And it's just infuriating. It's simple, but it pissed me off.
Yep.
I've never seen you so emotive, Tom.
Mate, I was furious.
That's what you get for living in the middle of nowhere. I mean, not the middle of nowhere.
Suburbia.
A long
sorry
way
about
away
that.
from the ocean. I consider anywhere that's away from the ocean the middle of nowhere, even if it's like a highly populated area.
I feel like it's more suburban than where you are. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is, but I'm closer to the ramp.
Hmm.
Therefore, I'm closer to where I need to be.
Hey, we have Lilydale Lake. There are many, many beautiful trout and carp and
Redfin.
possibly.
Got a secret little redfin hole there. We'll keep
Give me
that
your numbers.
between us, lads. No, good one. Yeah, I hate traffic lights. Mine is just whales. Just beautiful creatures.
You're gonna like do mass genocide on the whales? Or?
No, I just think it's pretty rude of them to go near my tuna.
How dare they?
Nah, red lights. Good one. All right, fellas. I think on that note,
That wasn't great, was it?
it grinds my gears.
That was pretty average.
I was upset, but
No, it was a good one. Well, you told me you were angry when you came in, so that's why I let you fly with that one. But
What car do you have, Tom?
a beautiful red Navara.
Oh, I was about to say, because mine's the tolls with the ute. You get charged
Oh.
like double.
I've got set in
Commercial.
Google Maps.
Yeah.
Avoid tolls.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care.
right.
I'm not driving
oh,
on.
that's why you were late. See, we had to start half an hour late.
That's why I had red lights.
Ah,
So with your new child,
cheapskate.
you're gonna be running to hospital and be like, "Nah, sorry, we're not taking the tolls."
Correct.
Mind you, I'll tell you what grinds my gears. Tolls. Not supposed to be tolls on that road. We're going off track here. But tolls, that grinds my gears.
All right. Cut
Sorry,
transmission.
Yeah, I think that was alluded.
All right. No worries. We're going to wrap up. Thank you to you two for coming in and having a chat tonight. I think it was wonderful catching up with you both. We covered some very interesting things. We're going to keep an eye out for some more information on that significant tagged tuna that we discussed a little bit earlier. So we might get Nigel back on again. Joey is actually going overseas next week. He's on another one of his food eating odysseys. So Joe's actually, if anyone's seen Joe lately, he's absolutely ripped. He's been eating nothing but steamed fish and chicken and three vegetables for dinner. And he's looking absolutely fantastic. But he's about to set off on a voyage overseas. And last time he did this, he went on a cruise in Europe, and that's basically what spiraled him into obesity. So,
So we're gonna get Chunky Joe back.
so we'll see how his discipline goes on this trip. But there will be no Joseph for a few weeks, so we may get Tom and Nigel back in again. That'd be pretty exciting, and we will catch you all then. So have a wonderful weekend. Be safe on the water. Watch out for whales and police officers.